Hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes. Here are four big stories for today. I do these every day. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. Ukraine keeps crossing Russia's red lines. Putin keeps blinking. Um, Moscow apparently has illusory red lines. They keep saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And Ukraine keeps violating those red lines and nothing seems to happen. It's really fascinating to watch. Okay. Speaking of red lines, we're going to look at these trench lines here. So these are trench lines, and of course they're not in red in real life, but if you look at the trench lines mapped out, you can see where Ukraine has pushed in just because the trenches built around that and some distance from it. One new trench line is nearly 100 kilometers from the international border with Ukraine. And this is what it looks like from space. Geospatial analysis from front intelligence insight reveals that the Russian forces continue to build a defensive line in the Kursk region located south and southwest of the Kursk nuclear power plant. Okay, so I mean that's what's going on there. The Ukrainians are forcing that, even though Russia doesn't seem to be doing enough to prevent it. Like they just keep going after Pokrovsk. The drone, dubbed Palyanytsia by the Ukrainian military, is a jet-powered one-way attack UAV capable of at least 200-kilometer strike radius. And so here's a mock-up. It's not, doesn't look exactly like that. It looks more like this, but essentially it's some kind of missile slash drone. So it has some multiple capabilities or some of the elements of both. This is just a little video that'd be interesting to watch. They can unpack this pretty easily and move it where it needs to do, set it up, put it on the stand, put the wings on, and just let it go. So it's pretty impressive what the Ukrainians have been able to do here. Now, the important thing is that this is homegrown, and because it's homegrown, they can use it to strike. So the further they can encroach into Russia, the further they can go with the strike. So there it is. It seems pretty impressive. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. And it had its first hit today. It was launched for the first time just overnight and had its first hit in Voronezh. Okay, Independence Day in Ukraine. Our independence, this is Anton Gershenko. Our independence means everything to us. I think most Ukrainians didn't know how important it was until there was a threat of losing it. It's true of a lot of things in life. Now it is clear we want to be free. We will fight for our Ukraine with everything we've got and beyond. The price we pay is so high, we are losing our best people. Through exhaustion, grief, and sometimes despair, we move on because our independence is too important. We owe it all to the heroes who gave their lives for that. We will fight and we will win and we will be free. Slava Ukraini. Now, Zelensky also gave a speech today, and somebody asked me in the live stream this morning if I could cover this. Dear people, Ukrainians always pay back their debts, and whoever wished misery upon our land shall find it in their own home, with interest. Whoever seeks to sow evil on our land will reap its fruits on their own territory. 913 days ago, Russia unleashed war against us. Today, we celebrate the 33rd Independence Day of Ukraine. And whatever the enemy was bringing to our lands has now returned to their home. A sick old man from the Red Square, who constantly threatens everyone with the red button, will not dictate any of his red lines to us. Ukraine astonishes once again. Russia reverts once again to its repertoire. This is how the world media generally portray the events in the Kursk region. They show how Russia treats its citizens, whom it calls the population. How Russia does not abandon their own. How their soldiers loot their local shops. This is what Putin's Russia looks like in the eyes of the world. 33 years ago, Ukraine was reborn on the maps of the world. I thank everyone who helps our warriors and our state, all those who live and work to keep our independence working and living, our medical workers, our rescuers, our firefighters, power engineers, our volunteers and entrepreneurs, police officers and farmers, railroad workers, teachers and students, all of them, Ukrainians here, Ukrainians abroad, who help find, send the necessary supplies, tell the world about Ukraine, and everyone who stays with Ukraine in the temporarily occupied territories. We know what independence looks like. On the morning of February 24th, it was in our eyes. Today, independence is in the trenches in all directions. Independence tastes of smoke and dust on the battlefield and in civilian life. Independence descends into the shelter during an air raid alert to survive and to rise again to tell the enemy again, you will not succeed. You will fail. You will not prevail. And you will be held accountable for everything. This is how we feel freedom. This is how Ukraine looks like. This is what independence looks like. And this is what it sounds like. Happy Independence Day, Ukrainians. And it was a pretty stirring speech. I read through the whole thing, and that's just a snippet, but wow, okay. Here, the Georgians in Tbilisi, Georgia, are marching in honor of Ukrainian Independence Day. They understand. They're close enough. They get it. Jay in Kiev wrote this, remember in the first weeks of the war, some of the delusional Russians blown up near Kiev actually had parade uniforms and marching band equipment for their big Maidan victory celebration. Yeah, now 900 some odd days later, it's almost hard to imagine how they could have thought that they were going to just within a few weeks mop up and be successful and have their parades and take over the country. And it just didn't work out quite like they were expecting. All right, this was a soldier who was returned as a POW and getting to meet his wife and his daughter. His son's already grown, but he was just exchanged yesterday. And yeah, I still can't believe it, she says. I still think it's a dream. I don't know. I'm still overcome with emotions. I still think I've just dreamed this. Our son has waited for dad. He watched the videos of him every day, watched photos, videos. He kept saying how much he misses him. He kept asking where his dad is. Today, he's been so happy coming to this meeting. He saw him last when he was 9 months old. Our youngest daughter will be 2 in October and will be able to celebrate her birthday with dad for the first time. I wrote a letter in December. My husband said he received it in June. I sent him pictures of the kids and he received them. I wrote 3 letters in total, so he only received 1 letter out of those 3. Did you receive any letters from him? I just received 1 letter in August of 2022 that he wrote me in April of 2022. I'm alive and healthy. All is well. That's a long, long time to be in captivity. Okay, let's turn our attention to something political in the United States. So Kamala Harris just completed the convention and got a post-convention bounce. This was before her acceptance speech. But look at the statistics, right? Trump was ahead, and Biden understood this. Biden dropped out here. Okay, and so since the assassination attempt, Trump was ahead the entire time, and he just appeared unbeatable. Then Biden drops out, and the difference becomes very clear very fast. Kamala starts picking up, Trump starts losing. It's just been a steady upward trajectory for Harris, and then the DNC, and a little bit of a bounce at the end. We'll see what happens if there's any significant change, but it looks like Harris has legitimately picked up a lot of support since she became the nominee. And Trump really hasn't been helping himself with some of the things that he's said or been doing since the convention. Okay, here's the RT video that I promised. If you ever think your job is lame, watch this video where a crew of what we can only assume are trained specialists pop balloons dropped from the rafters of the United Center at the conclusion of Kamala Harris's acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention. Wow. This sounds painful to have to walk around and just pop all the balloons. I don't know. I think I'd find it fun for just a handful of them, but if that was my job, man, wow. All right, my friends, that's all that I have for today. Happy Independence Day to all Ukrainians everywhere. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.